Good morning, I'm Bree Skull, and here's your Spectrum News in 90. Stumbles and lies. The nation reacts to the first presidential debate. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump square off on policy and levied personal attacks last night. But the big story is how Democrats are reacting. The party in panic mode, worried about Biden's future. Some saying there's, quote, aggressive panic over his performance. And as for Trump, he repeatedly blamed Biden for inflation and what Trump called open borders. And Biden accused Trump of lying. More decisions are set to come down from the Supreme Court today. They're handing down 4 opinions yesterday. There are several opinions left to be released, including Donald Trump's election interference immunity claims, obstruction charges for January 6 rioters, and free speech claims from Texas and Florida on social media. In Texas, Uvalde's former school police chief has been indicted over his role in the slow police response during the 2022. Former school officer Adrian Gonzalez was also indicted, making these 2 the first officers to face criminal charges in the shooting. Oklahoma's top education official is ordering public schools to add Christianity to their curriculum for 5th through 12th grades. Those are your headlines. Now here's a look at your weather headlines.
We're looking at your weather headlines today across the country. Some severe storms and flooding possible once again for parts of the plains and the upper Midwest, as well as through the Ohio Valley, and some weekend storms that will go into the Northeast as we head into Saturday and Sunday. Dangerous heat continuing for a lot of the country as well. Already seeing those storms through the upper Midwest continuing to move into the Great Lakes region as we go through today.
Spectrum News, I'm Bree Driscoll. Today is Friday, June 28th. Our top story, stumbles and lies. The first presidential debate is going down in history for all the wrong reasons. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump squared off in a high-stakes showdown last night. They debated policy and levied personal attacks. But the big story is how Democrats are reacting. The party in panic mode, worried about Biden's future. And this morning's headlines say it all. CNN with Biden's poor showing and Trump's repeated falsehoods. The New York Times, Biden struggles as Trump blusters in contentious debate. And the Los Angeles Times, Biden stumbles amid fierce attacks from Trump. And we'll have more reaction in a moment. But first, Spectrum's Taylor Popolars begins our team coverage from Atlanta.
Locked in a dead heat, Joe Biden and Donald Trump made no secret in their belief the other is wrong to lead the country. Trump called open borders, and Biden accused Trump of peddling lies.
He didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos.
What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible.
The 2 presidents getting personal over Trump's unprecedented felony convictions and Biden's son Hunter's own legal troubles.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
When he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
Trump again refused to condemn the violence on January 6, 2021, when his supporters stormed the Capitol to try and overturn the election. Biden said it's part of the reason so many former Trump officials are not supporting the former president this cycle.
This guy has no sense of American democracy.
Trump went after Biden's ability to stay in the job as the 2 men fight off concerns about their old age. Biden, who is 81, at times gave rambling or halting answers and struggled to make a point.
We finally beat Medicare.
Trump accused him of not being with it.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence.
On abortion, Trump celebrated Roe versus Wade being overturned while Biden condemned it.
I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted.
The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule.
The 2 men disagreed over how to end the wars in Israel and Ukraine, how to improve America's economy, and who has the stronger record caring for veterans. They did not shake hands when they walked on stage, and across the debate, it was clear how deeply they dislike each other. Reporting in Atlanta, Taylor Popolars, Spectrum News.
And while there was no audience during the debate, plenty of Americans were watching. Supporters of both candidates offering their analysis immediately afterwards. G. Gonzalez has what they're saying this morning.
You have the morals of an alley cat.
He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it.
Even before the candidates left the stage, the reaction to the debate started pouring in, much of it critical of President Joe Biden's performance, which was halting at times. Former Republican candidate for president Nikki Haley posted on social media, "Mark my words, Biden will not be the Democratic nominee." There are some Democrats who may have said something similar behind closed doors, but after the debate, Biden's supporters rallied behind him.
I don't know what he's accomplished in the last 3.5 years. I know what he's capable of, and I know his vision, and no trepidation.
During the debate, word came from the Biden campaign that the president was suffering from a cold. But those in Trump's corner bashed Biden and furthered the narrative from the GOP that the 46th president is old and weak.
Trump was energetic. He had command of the facts.
This question that must be asked. Can Joe Biden do this job for 4 more years?
Biden's supporters were not dismissive of his shortcomings Thursday night, instead focusing on the numerous falsehoods Trump put forth in his responses and what they say a vote for Trump this fall really means.
What you saw tonight was a clear contrast between a good man that we believe in, that is going to win re-election, and a con man, criminal, and a traitor to this country.
Following the debate, both campaigns put out statements saying that their candidate won. What it's actually going to boil down to, though, is what the voters think and how they vote this November. Bree?
And Angie, Biden and Trump are out on the campaign trail today.
Yeah, right. Both are going to be heading to the East Coast today from Atlanta, which is also on the East Coast, of course. Now, President Biden holding a rally and heading to Virginia. He's going to be rallying with supporters in Chesapeake, Virginia. Now, Bree, both candidates are visiting states that they lost in 2020. Biden won Virginia in 2020 by about 10 percentage points, while Trump won North Carolina by just over 1%. Bree?
Angie Gonzalez, thank you very much, Angie. And if you missed anything from last night's debate, we've got you covered online and on the Spectrum News app. We break down the key differences in policy and have reaction from both sides. Just search for Spectrum News in the App Store or on Google Play. Well, we are still waiting on a number of major decisions from the Supreme Court. Still on the docket, Trump's election interference immunity claims, January 6 rioter obstruction charges, and social media free speech. The court handed down 4 opinions yesterday. We got the finalized opinion that at least temporarily allows access to emergency abortions in Idaho. That to Supreme Court's website Wednesday, but was taken down a short time later and officially given out yesterday. The Supreme Court also announced Monday as another decision day. Oklahoma's school superintendent is pushing to get Christianity into the classroom. Oklahoma's Supreme Court recently blocked an attempt to create the nation's first publicly funded religious charter school. Now, in response, the state's top education official ordering public schools to incorporate the Bible into lessons for grades 5 through 12. The directive comes days after Louisiana announced schools need to post the 10 Commandments in classrooms. Extreme weather continuing today with drought, floods, wildfires, and storms. A look at the contrast across the country, plus your weather on the one.
Here's the deal. In the election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
At Spectrum, we know how much you depend on the reliability of our products and services. Now, we've taken a new step forward in reliability by identifying potential service issues before they become a problem. If you're affected, we'll contact you and help schedule a free service appointment with one of our expert technicians. The proactive maintenance of our network is one of the many reasons Spectrum delivers the most reliable internet speeds in the nation. Spectrum.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit.
Welcome back to your weather on the ones on this Friday. Made it to the end of the week, a very hot week for much of the country. Also a stormy week as well. Looking at the severe risks today across areas like Kansas City, some storms potentially in Chicago and Minneapolis. Temperatures ranging from the 70s and 80s. 101 in Dallas today, so still some very dangerous heat ongoing across Southern Plains. 110 for Phoenix, 80 in LA, 68 in San Francisco. Pretty nice day out there. 73 in Seattle and 76 degrees in New York. So a little bit of a cool down there after some hot days. Now looking at the heat alerts for today, we do have an excessive heat warning that includes Oklahoma City as well as areas close to 105, maybe potentially up to about 110 in that area. We see that excessive warning. So you do need to remember to practice your heat safety, try to come inside more frequently, drink plenty of water as well. And as we look at the bigger picture here, we've seen quite a bit of rainfall across the Four Corners region over the past couple of days. Yesterday, flooding there as well as parts of the Northern Plains, a lot of heavy rain popping up there. We're already continuing to see more of that rain moving into parts of the upper Midwest as well as the Great Lakes today. And some of those areas could be dealing with some flooding. A 2 on a scale of 1 to 4 for areas like Iowa, unfortunately, that has seen already a lot of flooding. Missouri, and then going into the Chicago area, that chance for excessive rainfall is there. As we time this out, you can see those showers and storms continuing to develop as we go through the evening, moving through areas like Des Moines, getting into Wisconsin, then eventually through Chicago, and then getting into and going into tomorrow afternoon, we start to see more toward the Cleveland area, and then eventually we'll see it in the Northeast heading into Sunday. That storm chance mainly is focused around the Ohio River Valley as we go through Saturday.
Well, if you're just joining us or heading out the door, here's a look at what you need to know. A bitterly personal 90-minute debate between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Trump repeatedly blamed Biden for inflation and what Trump called open borders. Meanwhile, Biden accused Trump of lying. Another round of opinions is due today from the Supreme Court. Still in front of the justices, Trump's immunity claims for election interference charges, obstruction charges for January 6 rioters, and First Amendment challenges on social. State's top education official is ordering schools to get Christianity in their curriculum. The move is in response to the state's Supreme Court decision to block the creation of the nation's first publicly funded religious charter school. And that's a look at what you need to know this morning. The former school police chief of Uvalde, Texas, indicted over his role in the slow police response to the 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary School. Pete Arredondo was indicted by a grand jury on 10 counts of felony child endangerment. Another school officer, Adrian Gonzalez, was also indicted on similar charges. These are the first 2 officers to face criminal charges relating to the shooting, which killed 19 students and 2 teachers. Well, the U.S. is experiencing drastically changing weather. Parts of the Midwest are still recovering from floods. At least 1 person is dead from a storm in New Jersey yesterday. And parts of Rhode Island and Massachusetts are recovering from a tornado that crossed the border. Southwest and other areas are experiencing droughts and heat advisories. And Colorado is dealing with the Oak Ridge fire.
We have very steep, rough terrain, and access is very difficult. So we're looking for opportunities out in front of the fire.
Wildfire evacuees in New Mexico are now able to return home. However, many no longer have homes to return to due to the South Fork and salt fires. Farmers are used to dealing with the changes in the weather, but it's the dramatic changes that make it challenging. Spectrum's Gino Perez spoke with a Wisconsin farmer who's having to make some tough choices.
For over 150 years, Eric Harmon and his family have tended the 60 acres of land that have been passed down from generation to generation. He grows cash crops like corn and raises beef cattle. Eric says the past 2 years have been tough on him and his family.
Mother Nature is one. Last year we had pretty much a drought, the equivalent of basically 25 inches of rain this year, which is pretty close to what we get in a year.
Eric says they now have transitioned to planting corn on most of the property, since it's more resilient than other crops. He says they made a calculated risk to plant later than they typically do. This could leave them a good 3 months for the crops to come through.
There's give and take on both ends. You might have quantity, but now you're going to have to buy different type of feed to offset the quality of your feed.
The rain can also be tough on the cattle on the farm. Eric says the cattle do not like to lay in the puddles. The water makes their hoofs soft and can cause the calves to be more susceptible to diseases.
It's kind of like the old saying, don't stick all your eggs in one basket. You got to be diversified in different markets or industries to survive, I guess, right now in the farming industry.
It's so bad for Eric, he has never done before. Use crop insurance.
But in a year like this, where me and my brother would get a field ready, and hopefully the next day or that night we'd be able to put it in and it would rain. It's kind of nice to have that insurance, peace of mind in the back of your head.
Regardless of what happens this season, Eric says it comes with the job and he wouldn't have it any other way. He says he always wanted to be a farmer and these challenges come with it. In Algoma, Gino Perez, Spectrum News.
Extreme ocean heating triggering the world's worst mass coral bleaching event on record. Since January 2023, 72% of the planet's reefs have been bleached by heat. The bleaching is being driven by record-breaking ocean heat, by planet-warming pollution, and boosted by a super El Nino. In bleach, coral will shed its algae, which provides both its color and its food. When the water gets too hot for too long, coral can starve and die. Reef experts are now looking to hurricanes, believe it or not, to provide relief. Hurricanes can help cool the ocean along their path. Just ahead on Spectrum News, an historic run for a beauty pageant competitor, how she hopes to inspire others and prove age is just a number.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Free with your Spectrum subscription.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Thanks for joining us for your Weather on the Ones on this Friday. Looking at our severe risk for today into Iowa and Missouri, sort of a bullseye there. 2 on a scale of 1 to 5. The main risk factors we're looking at would be damaging wind gusts and some hail, but also the tornado risk is there. It's on the lower side compared to the wind risk. But still, just have a way to get those alerts today and tonight as well. Already seeing some shower and storm activity moving through areas like the upper Midwest, getting into the Great Lakes region, and we will continue to see that as we go through today. And then by tomorrow, our risk for severe storms starts to shift a little bit to the east. So the Ohio River Valley included in that 2 on a scale of 1 to 5, but also extends into part of New York, that marginal risk, and it kicks back into the plains. So a long area of showers and storms potentially that could have those damaging wind gusts, the tornado risk, also the flooding risk. Can't understate that. We've seen a lot of storms that have caused flooding over the past few days. As we time this out today at 11 a.m. Central Time, you see those showers and storm development of those stronger storms as we get into the evening hours. 5, 6 o'clock, moving through Iowa, eventually getting into areas like Michigan and Ohio. And then as we go through Saturday, that starts to move off into the northeast. We'll continue to see that spreading as we head into Sunday. Looking at Sunday, you notice the severe risk is mainly up and down the eastern seaboard. So the I-95 corridor in parts of New England and the Northeast, that's going to be areas that could see some gusty winds with those storms. Temperatures around 88 degrees for New York, 97 for Raleigh, also included in that risk. 93 in Atlanta, potentially some storms back through Memphis as well with temperatures near 90 degrees. A little cooler though, you notice, after that front passes through in parts of the Midwest with temperatures in the 70s near Chicago. But as we time this out, Saturday night, you have storms moving through the area, probably dissipating as they move east, but then we get some redevelopment on the back end as we go through Sunday evening. Have a way to get those alerts. As we look at your tropical update, we're watching 3 areas now in the tropics, and a couple of them have moderate chances of development, 2 right behind each other in the central Atlantic and an area that we're watching in the Caribbean Sea. We'll keep you up to date over the next few days.
The LA Lakers selecting Bronny James in the second round of the NBA draft yesterday as the 55th pick overall out of the University of Southern California. That means the younger James will have the chance to play on the same team as his father, the league's all-time leading scorer, LeBron James. It's something the elder James has been saying he desperately wanted. He even said he'd become a free agent and give up millions of dollars to go play for whatever team drafted his son. Bronny James could put on a Lakers jersey as early as July 12th. Season could mark the first time a father and son have ever played in the league at the same time. Well, we love to talk to people that are breaking the mold, and that is exactly what 71-year-old Marissa Tejo did when she competed for the title of Miss Texas USA this past weekend. The competition recently changed its rules when it comes to age and marital status, allowing Tejo to compete. She joins us now. Marissa, there's been a huge response to you taking part in this competition. You are stunning. I looked at your picture and I read 71 and I was like, did I read this right?
Oh, well, I am 71. And as a matter of fact, I'll be 72 July 8th. So that's not too far away.
Are you surprised about the reaction to you competing?
I am. I'm I'm surprised and overwhelmed. I never thought. When I first went into I'll go in and I'll inspire a few people. At first I thought maybe just El Paso. And then I said, well, if I go to Houston, it'll be a little bit more. Maybe some people in Houston. But oh my gosh, I came home. And well, even before I came home, I saw all the reaction and I was very surprised, very surprised. I didn't realize that women were so looking forward to having someone that was their age that would represent them in something like beauty, because we all like to look beautiful, and no matter our age, we love to look beautiful, and we love fashion and so on. But sometimes we lose sight of that with our children, with our work.
Yeah.
And,
for sure. The competition just recently changed the rules and the majority of the competitors are much younger. What was going through your head?
Well, when I first came here, when they changed the age, that's when some of the people here in El Paso, Jackie and several other people were saying, well, you ought to enter. And I said, well, I can't do that with all these young ladies competing. How can I compete against them when I'm much older? And no matter how young we look, we still have our wrinkles, and we're a little different from
we all have things we want to change. Now, you are one of the first to take on this competition at your age. Do you think this will become a trend? Do you think we will see more of a variety of competitors now?
I think so. I'm not the only one that looks good, that has kept their exercise regimen and diet and so on. I'm not the only one. There are other people out there, and I think that they will feel inspired with my entrance into this competition. I guess I was the first.
Hey, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Beautiful inside and out. And you can always stay connected with us here at Spectrum News by getting your national and local headlines on the go. Just download the free Spectrum News app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. I'm Bree Driscoll. Thanks so much for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
The 2024 election will decide who leads our nation and the balance of power in Congress, impacting all of us. From Capitol Hill to the Oval Office, let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth coverage with our dedicated experts in local politics. In your community, that's our mission. Available on all of your favorite devices, exclusively on Spectrum.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to provide the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished to take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."